Good evening, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated Journato evening headlines on September 28, 2022. Nuclear attack in Ukraine should spark devastating NATO response, says Poland. The Guardian, Polish FM, response should be devastating if Russia uses nuclear weapons. Kremlin says military campaign in Ukraine to continue at least until capture of all of Donetsk region. Ukrainians flee from Russian annexation, while they still can. Reuters, live updates, Russia-Ukraine war. The Independent, conscription fears as young Ukrainian men stopped from leaving occupied areas. The Guardian, Ukraine artillery unit salute fellow fighter jet during combat. The Telegraph, Ukrainian men flee Russian-held areas amid annexation votes. Iran footballers show solidarity with protests over Mahsa Amini's death. The Guardian, Iran cover country's badge for national anthem in protest against repression of women. The Times, Iran players cover badges to protest against repression of women. The Telegraph, protests shadow Iran's World Cup push. France 24 English, Sada Azmoun risks place at the World Cup by taking a stand on Iran's protests. California murder suspect and 15-year-old daughter both killed in shootout with police. Trump News, live, Jared and Ivanka nearly fired by tweet, book says as Trump predicts Nord Stream war. The Independent, hear what supporter of January 6 rioter told Fanon during rioter's sentencing. CNN, January 6 rioter sentenced to 7 years in prison for assaulting officer. The Independent, Capitol rioter a one-man wrecking ball, gets 7-year term. If Brazilian voters do reject Jair Bolsonaro, don't expect him to go quietly. The Guardian, YouTube and Meta pushing Bolsonaro, stop the steal misinformation that may endanger election, report alleges. The Independent, it cannot be the madness that it is today, what's next for Petrobras? Financial Times, Brazil election, will Bolsonaro really leave if he loses? Bloomberg, Brazil election, Bolsonaro versus Lula is referendum on democracy. U.S. climber Hilaree Nelson found dead after fall from Mount Manaslu in Nepal. Sky News, body of missing famed U.S. extreme skier recovered in Nepal. The Independent, Hilaree Nelson, famed U.S. mountaineer, missing on Nepal's Manaslu peak. The Guardian, U.S. mountaineer Hilaree Nelson missing on Mount Manaslu in Nepal. Sky News, U.S. mountaineer Hilaree Nelson found dead after going missing on Nepal summit. Putin has succeeded in mobilizing a Russian army on the borders, not to fight but flee. Sky News, Ukraine war, Russia to open war enlisting hub on Georgia border. BBC, at least 260,000 Russians have fled since Putin's military call-up, Western officials believe. The Independent, fleeing Russia, is time running out? ITV News. ITV News, we didn't want to be part of the war, Russians at the Georgia border flee Putin's call-up. Damage to Nord Stream undersea pipelines was sabotage, top EU diplomat says and warns of retaliation. Sky News, Nord Stream leaks, sabotage to blame, says EU. BBC, European leaders blame sabotage as gas pours into Baltic from Nord Stream pipelines. Guardian News, the apparent attacks on the Nord Stream gas pipelines are a wake-up call. The Telegraph, Nord Stream leaks appear to be Putin's sabotage. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.